it's noon, so I think we're going to get started. I want to just thank everyone for joining us today. We're very excited about this forum and be able to highlight some of these excellent projects happening in Lancaster County. Want to start by thanking our sponsors, Rogers and Associates. They've been sponsoring our First Friday Forum for a while, and we really appreciate their support and investment in the Hourglass. Also, we would like to thank Millersville University. We are obviously not there right now, but we typically are, and we appreciate their support, and they're letting us use their space at the Ware Center to host these forums. So at the Hourglass, we're very aware that right now is a tough time for a lot of folks. A lot of small businesses, organizations are really struggling. But we wanted to highlight some flashes of optimism in the county. And I'll start with a quote from who else but Winston Churchill. A pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity. An optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. And so thankfully today we are joined by three optimists, and I'll go through the list of brief introductions of them, and then I'll let them introduce themselves. So Benjamin Lesher is the CEO of SDL Devco. They're developers of the Stadium Row Apartments. Ken Hornbeck is the Senior Vice President of High Real Estate Development in the High Real Estate Group. And Larry Zook is the CEO and President of Landis Communities. So thank you, gentlemen, for being with me.
Happy to be here.
Yep, thank you, Jonathan.
Excellent. So Ken, would you like to start us off by doing a little introduction of who you are and what your organization does in Lancaster County? I'm pretty sure everybody has seen High before. So, but if you want to give us a little rundown, that'd be great.
Sure. As Jonathan said, my name is Ken Hornbeck, Senior Vice President of Development for High Real Estate Group. In my role, I help deliver all of the real estate development projects that High undertakes, both in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and other regions where we are active. I think everybody's aware of the High companies and how long we've been in Lancaster. A diversified company, not just real estate, but concrete and steel and other businesses as well.
Excellent. Ben?
Sure. Yeah. So I actually just started SDL Devco earlier this year in January. So right now it's just me, but the big project that I'm working on obviously is Stadium Row, and that's I'd say a family-based venture with my parents and my sister involved as well. So yeah, previously I had worked for a group that did a lot of low-income housing tax credit work, but my focus is right now mostly on multifamily. I really enjoy urban kind of infill redevelopment projects as well. So
excellent.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And Larry?
Thanks, Jonathan, and it's good to join you, Ben, and Ken as well. Larry Zook with Landis Communities, Landis Homes. Started working with Landis Homes back in about 1994, and Landis Homes was created 30 years before that in 1960 for retirement community in Manheim Township. But around 2007, I became president of Landis Homes. 2008, we did strategic planning, which launched our movement into affordable and middle income housing for older adults in the Lancaster area, specifically focused on creating community in each of those settings. So in 2011, Landis Homes created an umbrella organization, Landis Communities, which I also serve as president of. And since then, Landis Communities focus has included both supporting Landis Homes as a continuing care retirement community, exploring creating new home and community-based services for older adults, as well as providing affordable and middle income communities throughout Lancaster County. That includes Steepleview Lofts in downtown Lancaster. Welsh Mountain Home is a personal care home in New Holland, and across the road from Welsh Mountain is affordable senior housing, Mountain View Terrace. So it's a bit about Landis Communities.
Excellent. Yeah, quite a portfolio. So before we continue on, I neglected to say earlier, down in the bottom of our screen is a question and answer function. So during our conversation, we won't be taking questions directly, but if you submit a question through the question and answer function, and then if there are, if you like, there's a thumbs up button. If you press the thumbs up button and like it, the questions with the most votes, we will address first at the end in our question and answer session. So feel free to use that function throughout, and sorry about the interruption. So, but I'd like to go, one of the reasons we wanted to have the three of you here is because you've all announced some really neat projects happening in Lancaster County. So Ken, do you want to start by going over the projects that you've announced recently?
Sure, happy to do so. We're fortunate that we do have a number of active projects currently, a lot of which started pre-COVID, but some of which actually started during this COVID period. So despite the economic pressures that COVID is putting on some markets, we've nonetheless been fortunate enough to continue to be able to bring some of those projects to fruition. A couple of the larger projects that you may have seen announced in the papers lately. Some exciting things happening in Greenfield. The Thaddeus Stevens Automotive Technology facility that is currently under construction. About a 90,000 square foot building that'll house the Thaddeus Stevens Automotive Technology School next year. Along with that, Armstrong Flooring recently announced their relocation from their location on Columbia Avenue over to Greenfield. So we're leasing 3 buildings to them. One building's being partially demolished, one building's being basically reskinned and torn apart down to the bones, and another facility which is an existing building that they're going to take space in. So very exciting for Greenfield, still growing. And another project we announced last year relative to Greenfield was the Walnut Street Extension project, which is the extension of Walnut Street north of Route 30 up into Greenfield. And there's a lot of synergies for that road, a lot of reasons why we think that road makes sense to be extended into Greenfield. Benefits the Pennsylvania College of Health Sciences, the Thaddeus Stevens School. It gives a direct link from Greenfield in and out of the city for all of those businesses that are going to be relocating to Greenfield. And once it's complete, it'll take that traffic off of Route 30. And we all know kind of how 30 can get a little slowed up in the evenings between Greenfield Road and New Holland Pike and 222. So a lot of things coming together at the same time for us in Greenfield, and we're still pretty bullish.
And I think you sent me a rendering of that project. Is that right?
I did, yeah.
Okay, we'll share that
feel free
here.
To share that.
Yep.
Yeah, so if everyone can see what's on the screen, this is kind of a general concept of what the Walnut Street extension will look like. It's a 2-lane extension, so we're not planning to extend all 4 lanes of what Walnut Street currently looks like. Once you get past Route 30, it becomes a 2-lane road, asphalt with shoulders, and it kind of heads northeast until it hits a traffic circle, and then turns into Greenfield at what we're calling Ben Franklin Boulevard. And Ben Franklin Boulevard will extend and serve the Thaddeus Stevens Automotive Technology project that I mentioned earlier, as well as the Pennsylvania College of Health Science and Nursing, which exists there as well. In conjunction with the extension, there is also going to be the Greater Lancaster Heritage Pathway, which is shown in blue, just below Walnut Street. And that will also extend all the way up to the end of Walnut Street. The whole Walnut Street extension as proposed is only a mile. Want to make it clear that we have zero intentions of extending that beyond Willow. In fact, you'll see on this plan, it doesn't even get to Willow. And at the circle where the Walnut Street extension ends, we're planning a trailhead for that pathway, so that in the future, the county can extend that if that's part of the long-term plan.
Fantastic. That is such an exciting project.
Yeah, it'll be neat to see it all come together for sure.
Absolutely. So Ben, do you want to talk a little bit about Stadium Row?
Sure. Yeah, so Stadium Row is a 104 unit apartment project in city of Lancaster. So it's just north of Clipper Stadium. So just if you're coming into the city on Prince Street, it's just to the right, kind of behind the Wellspan Philhaven building there. So I don't know if anybody's driven by recently, but it's exciting. We have the first floor framed and stair towers up. So it's good to see that kind of progress there. But yeah, I guess we broke ground like February of this year, March. We did get slowed down a little bit with COVID. We were hoping to finish construction March 2021, but it's looking more like July of 2021 right now. So obviously we're excited about that. I think, you know, sort of the big claim to fame, I guess, for Stadium Row, which sounds a little daunting every time I say this, but apparently it's the first and maybe the largest new construction rental apartments in the city in about 50 years. So obviously that's a pretty significant feat.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of careful analysis and planning, and to be honest, the right site to make that happen. But we're excited to do that, bring that to the city. You know, if it's well, just with my interest and my passion, you know, I grew up in this area, and really trying to bring something more modern to Lancaster, to the city, something more urban that people can enjoy all the neighborhood amenities and walk to all the various restaurants and shops in the city, and trying to bring somewhat of what I saw when I was in grad school to Lancaster, that you know, sort of a large multifamily new product that I hadn't seen before here. So
Excellent.
yeah,
I'll put that up on the screen here. How many units is in this development?
Yeah, so we have 104 units. We have a range of unit styles. The smallest is what I'm calling a micro apartment at a 460 square feet. And then we go up to 2 bedroom, 2 baths at about 1,000 square feet. So one of my interests is trying to do maybe a little bit smaller units, and trying to make it a little bit lower price point, perhaps. So I'm kind of excited about the 460 square foot studios, actually. I think they'll do well, but that's a little bit of a small size for this area. We have a lot of what I'm calling junior 1-bedroom units. They're about 588 square feet too. Yeah, we're excited. I guess the other big thing, I think there was an article just about this. We're going to have a rooftop deck that I'll kind of look over, we think mostly into Clipper Magazine Stadium. We're trying to, I think we're up, and Jonathan, yeah, if you want to scroll down, we sort of have the next rendering there with that. I think you'll be able to just sort of see into the field, maybe not the entirety of it. But
oh, that's cool. So you'll need to either rent a place or get to know somebody who lives there during baseball season, right?
That's right. It's not open to, the general public can't come up there. It's just for residents and their friends. But yeah, excellent. So yeah, we're trying to have a lot of modern amenities. I think we're going to have a valet trash service. We're going to have a smart parcel locker system for the tenants. Just a lot of high-end finishes, smart door locks, things like that. So
That's fantastic. Looks beautiful.
So,
It does.
thanks.
Good looking building.
Thanks.
Happy to see it's coming together too. I walked by there with my dog last weekend, and looks great.
Thanks. Yeah.
So, Larry, how about you? Would you like to talk about Landis Place?
At Landis Place in Lancaster, Landis Place on King Street. But first, just a comment about Lancaster County. We're blessed with a lot of continuing care retirement communities, quality continuing care retirement communities here. And in fact, Lancaster County may have the highest per capita number of residents over age 65 living in retirement community settings of almost any county in the United States. We truly are in a garden spot, a wonderful part of the world to live. And so back in 2008, when the Landis Homes Board, which offers one of those retirement communities, did some strategic listening, we heard from about 150 stakeholders who we reached out to, the message that Landis Homes, out surrounded by 800 acres of farmland in Manheim Township, is a great location. But some of us would love also to have an urban living experience as well. And with partners like RGS and Zamias Properties was one of our early partners, and many others here in the county, that opened up at Steeple View Lofts. And so since 2013, mid-2013, about 100 persons have called Steeple View Lofts home, the 36 apartments there. And the waiting list has been growing and growing. Persons love being able to walk to, just a few hundred feet to the Fulton, to Millersville University, the Ware Center, to Central Market. It brings many of the amenities that might be found on a retirement community campus right outside of your door, the many different dining options, banks, the whole variety. And it's integrated in with a vibrant downtown. So that led us, as our team has grown here, we've created an entity named Landis Quality Living. Yvonne Berge serves as Vice President of Community Initiatives. Ed Kaminsky, who previously has worked with HDC Mid-Atlantic, both are leading the efforts in Landis Quality Living to explore Landis Place on King in the 200 block of West King Street.
Excellent. And I think you sent me a slide about that. I'm going to bring that up here. Here we are.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes. So this is a drawing, a visual for Landis Place on King. This would be looking toward the west on the 200 block of West King. The street numbers there, 239 and 245 West King. Currently, the Rendezvous Steakhouse, which just closed late last year, and House of Taco Properties are the two properties there. So this would be between Water Street and Mulberry, as one is walking west. It's looking to be about a $22 million investment in the neighborhood there, the southwest area. The 7-story, 82 unit residential space, really intentionally seeking to be inclusive in the broader community. So that integration into the broader community partly will be enhanced by 2,500 square feet of retail space. We will include a creative shared living option that will support support community as persons age in place in downtown Lancaster. Currently planning on 42 parking spaces in the building. Total number of residents served at any given time, about 100. Rental rates beginning around $800 monthly. Seeking to have about 13 of the apartments in the more affordable range and the balance in the more middle income. Seeking to fill a need in the middle market segment, and it will be paying property tax in the city, but as a nonprofit organization, we will be likely doing a capital campaign, a fundraising to help ensure affordable rates for the lower priced apartments. Also seeking to have a rooftop deck as well, like you described, Ben, being able to enjoy the beauty of the outdoors, both indoor and outdoor community spaces. So that's a bit of a glimpse of Landis Place on King.
Wow. These are all really exciting projects. Neat. So tell me a little bit about, and we don't have to go in order here, we can open this discussion up, a little bit about why you're investing in Lancaster County. Ben and Larry, you're both investing in Lancaster City, and Ken as well, with obviously the Toys R Us building. So those are all projects that are really neat. And what about Lancaster County gives you optimism in wanting to invest in this community? Anybody can go.
Okay, I'll jump in. You know, we think Lancaster County is if nothing else, it's certainly resilient. In our opinion, it's never been as susceptible to the high and low swings of what's going on in the macroeconomic climate. So that makes it a little more of a stable and appealing investment vehicle when you look at different areas and different regions. Obviously, High is a long-standing community member of Lancaster County, and we believe in investing where we live, and we always do. Lancaster County has a very diverse economy as well, and that diverse economy also helps weather the downturns, right? When the impacts of COVID may hit one business area harder than another, Lancaster County can weather those hits maybe more so than other markets that are more heavily weighted towards one type of business. And we also believe that other communities and other markets sometimes tend to overshoot the demand, regardless of what the product type is. And we don't think Lancaster County typically does that. A lot of smart people in Lancaster County, a lot of relatively conservative people in Lancaster County, but that helps weather the short-term downturns, long-term views. A lot of people have long-term views in Lancaster County.
Wow. Ben or
Larry? I can share a little bit. For me, it's, there's a lot of things. I think obviously I have a deep kind of just personal connection to the city in particular. I mean, it's where I grew up and have lived most of my adult life when I wasn't in college or grad school. I think, overall, when I look at just sort of the housing market, I think we know pretty much everywhere in the whole country, including here, is undersupplied with new housing. And so I think, obviously, I think the housing market is strong. And, just thinking about Stadium Row being the first new construction apartments in 50 years kind of speaks to maybe some of that undersupply. I think also me and my family are excited to just invest in the city, and, cities all over the country have saw a lot of disinvestment, over kind of the last 50 years of, the last century. So it's exciting to see kind of the shifts in some of the demographics. Obviously I'm a millennial, and millennials are sort of wanting to return to the city and all the wonderful amenities that that the city provides. And so a lot of what I saw, so went to grad school at UNC Chapel Hill, and got a master's in city planning and an MBA down there. And the business school in particular is a really strong real estate program. We had a lot of big kind of regional and national developers come in, share about their projects, and then we got to go see them in DC or Charlotte or Atlanta, Raleigh, wherever. And so, I just saw like incredible amounts of new supply coming online. And then thinking about my future and wanting to come back to my hometown and make an impact, I thought, well, I think Lancaster, there's an opportunity there. And, when I was in grad school, I actually lived in Durham, which is seeing a ton of revitalization and new construction. And at the same time, Durham was getting a lot of recognition for their food scene and art scene, and sort of just young people kind of coming back to the downtown. And it was interesting to watch some of the articles about Lancaster, recently with different restaurants and things getting picked up in New York Times or really becoming a destination. And so I thought, maybe Lancaster's ready for some more investment, and specifically kind of a larger apartment product. I mean, obviously, High's done a lot kind of right outside the city, a lot of great projects in terms of multifamily. So, I think that was encouraging to see, the demand that they saw, and my understanding, very quick lease up for like the crossings and the reserve. So those are sort of all things that I was watching and thinking about. So yeah, I mean, I continue to be very hopeful. I think now, what was the last article said, there's maybe 800 or 900 units either under construction or proposed for the city. I think we could still absorb a lot more. I think Lancaster City Alliance, their goal is like 2,500 units by 2030, if I'm remembering that correctly. And I forget what we're up to now, maybe 1,000 or something proposed. Yeah. We
held a forum last year on housing, and we had held 2 forums on housing. And it was amazing how pretty much everybody down to T said it's all about supply. There's just not enough. Even with affordable housing, it helps to take the pressure off the market if you create all levels of housing. So it's important to be doing in our community. We definitely need it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, I'm a big believer in supply and demand, and I mean, I'm very passionate and interested in trying to find creative ways to do affordable housing, but it's tough and to make the numbers work. But I hope, even though Stadium Row I wouldn't call an affordable housing project, just adding more supply to this market, I think, will help hopefully ease prices across the board, or rents across the board for everybody.
What are your rents at Stadium Row looking like? Do you have those figures yet?
That's the $1 million question, right? Yeah, I mean, I'll say it. So I think, rents are probably going to start at about $1,000 per month for the smallest units. I think they might get up to maybe $2,000 for the largest units. So that was actually, yeah, I was surprised at some of the larger units. I mean, we did a market study, and we're going to be using Boyd Wilson for property management. So we all, sort of vetted all what we thought the market could support. And it was actually a little bit higher. We ended up higher than I originally had in my pro forma and thought was feasible. So yeah, I hope we're right, but it's also exciting. I mean, I know obviously concerns about affordability, but it's exciting to think about the city also supporting high rents like that and bringing, higher income people into the city. So.
Oh, I won't. I know those are preliminary numbers, so we won't hold them to you. So, Larry, would you like to talk on the subject?
You bet. Yes. Well, and we view Lancaster City like Ben said, being attractive to millennials, Lancaster City is also very attractive to baby boomers. There are many baby boomers looking toward downsizing, some with more modest means. And so targeting the middle income and a bit of affordable as part of Landis Place on King is an important part of our direction. Lancaster City offers great arts, shopping, dining opportunities, walk score of 99 out of 100. It's a walker's paradise. So also Lancaster City has some wonderful diversity, and it's the vibrant people who call Lancaster home that makes it a better place. We have some deep relationships with the City of Lancaster, Lancaster Chamber, Lancaster City Alliance, Assets, SACA, Hourglass, and other organizations. And we see some alignment between all of our missions and directions going forward. In 2011, I believe it was, I was able to attend the first international conference on age-friendly cities, sponsored by the World Health Organization in Dublin, Ireland. And one of the keynote speakers there was former Ambassador James Joseph, U.S. Ambassador to South Africa. And he said something that has really stuck with me. He had an address on leadership and aging, or older adults, as an asset to the communities in which they live. And he shared, far too many are asking, what can we do about an aging population? What can we do for older adults, when they should be asking, what can we do together? How can we draw from the strengths of each generation? They should be asking not simply what social service should we provide, but how can we encourage and empower older adults to continue serving, and to do so in the center of the arena rather than silenced on the sidelines. So at Landis Communities, we wonder what better way to support this than by providing a community living experience in the vibrant, walkable core of a downtown like Lancaster.
That's great. That is really neat, and it's neat to see the kind of the whole spectrum of ages represented too. Ben's talking about millennials, and Larry's talking about some older folks. So it's fantastic, and it's really neat, the makeup of Lancaster City and what and Lancaster County, what it attracts in terms of folks. It's really neat. So COVID is something that none of us can escape talking about, it seems like. And how has COVID affected how you've managed these projects and your day-to-day? Have you had to change any of your budgets and your assumptions with what's going on, or has it been relatively not affecting you?
I might jump onto that. From early in the year here at Landis Homes and throughout Landis Communities, when we heard of COVID beginning to spread around the world from Asia into Europe and into the Pacific Northwest, we began meeting about it, learning all that we can, and have worked tirelessly to support safety and health of residents, our team members, their families, and believe also that many who are living in settings where this is being supported, where staff team are supporting residents and families, find a lot of security and peace of mind in being surrounded by that kind of supportive environment. For Landis Place on King, specifically, we believe that there's going to be both a lot of interest within our city and our county at Steeple View Lofts. More than a quarter of our residents have come from Lancaster City. Another 30% have come from Lancaster County. So the majority come from the city and county. There may be persons coming from other areas who view a city like Lancaster as being a safe environment. Grateful for all of the precautions that we're taking here in the county and in the city. So for Landis Place on King, we hope to be opening that well after a vaccine is available. Our development timeline is targeting in August, late summer, early fall 2022 opening. And so we continue to move forward with our plans. Like I mentioned, targeting some housing affordable to the middle market, annual incomes for residency in the 30 to 80,000 range, and that demographic continues to grow.
Okay, great. And Ken, I know real estate in terms of residential real estate in COVID, I was looking at numbers in terms of closings are way up from last year, but how about some of the commercial aspects? How has COVID affected you in that way?
So, generally, COVID I think has forced everyone to do a little bit more due diligence on any project or opportunity they're looking at, because there's always going to be some uncertainty. But on the commercial front, we haven't really seen a dramatic slowdown in deal velocity. I mean, I mentioned some of the things we were working on in Greenfield at the beginning of the discussion. I failed to mention the recently announced Penn State Health deal for the old Toys R Us building up there at the corner near our Crossings project at the corner of Harrisburg Pike and Route 30. So there are still aspects of the commercial activity that is still moving forward. You do have medical, you have some educational deals still moving forward out there. A lot of demand for industrial all across the board, especially if you're close to interstates and transportation hubs. That's only actually increased, not gone down as a result of COVID. So again, it depends on the asset type that you're looking at. But as I said, that's why Lancaster County is so resilient. So you might have a lower demand for one type of business or asset, but there's others that make up for it.
Right. Ben, how about you? How's COVID affected Stadium Route project?
Yeah, I feel extremely fortunate that I feels like it hasn't affected it too much. I think we have, our construction got delayed several months, so we're opening a little bit later. Hopefully that gives us a little more time to have a vaccine. Also, fortunately, so we were sort of breaking ground just as sort of COVID was coming out. So I think a lot of our construction pricing and things like that were locked in. I know very recently lumber's jumped like 20 and 30% is what I'm hearing. So I feel fortunate that we're sort of underway, and I have a lot of my costs kind of locked in pre-COVID. I think the other thing I'm hearing from my property management team is they are doing a ton. Well, actually, their vacancies right now are very low across their portfolio, and they're leasing up incredibly well. They don't have too many issues with rent collection either, and I think sort of the demographic that I think will live at Stadium Row probably are not the ones that have been most severely hit with the COVID in terms of losing jobs and whatnot. But the big thing is property management team, they've been doing like a ton of virtual leasing. So like a lot of people, they just look at a website, I guess do a Zoom call, and then they move in without even seeing the apartment. And so I just think actually Stadium Row just, you know, we have a nice website and are kind of able to really, I don't know how to design a good kind of virtual marketing campaign. And so, I think that'll do well just in terms of, I think we're going to get a lot of young professionals, but I mean, like Larry said, I think we might get some empty nesters too that want to live in the city. But, you know, I think, yeah, I mean, I hate to say it because it's obviously a lot of people have been devastated, but in some ways, I think COVID might be good for Stadium Row in some of that. And just, yeah, you know, everybody needs to live somewhere, and feel fortunate that, you know, I wasn't about to build an office building or a shopping center or a hotel or something, because I might have stopped.
You know, it's interesting. You talked about people virtually renting an apartment. I know somebody who virtually bought a house without seeing it, and I just can't imagine doing that.
Yeah.
But people are doing it. So, Ken, you mentioned a little bit. One of our questions from the audience is to talk a little bit about the Toys R Us project. I have the rendering here. I'll show that, but just maybe a little elaboration on that project would be great.
Sure. So when Toys R Us went bankrupt a couple of years ago, and that was all kind of pre-COVID, we had been keeping our eye on that corner for a long time. Obviously, with the crossings development that wraps around it, that corner piece was of high interest to us, no pun intended. And so fortunately, we were able to get control of it and close on it. And over the past year and a half, our brokers have done a great job of marketing it. And just recently we announced, there's some articles in the paper, that we signed a lease with Penn State Health to take all of that building. So we're working on those plans right now. And, you know, for everybody who drives the Harrisburg Pike corridor in and out of the city, that corner has been not very attractive for a long time. So we're working on some things that will not only reposition the building itself, as you kind of see in this concept rendering on the screen, but we're going to do some other exciting things to the site and get it cleaned up and really reposition that whole corner to make it more of the gateway it wants to be into the city.
That is so cool. I love this rendering. It looks great.
Yep, we're excited about it. Excited about the tenant, excited about the use, and excited about getting that corner cleaned up.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to open it up to the questions here that folks have submitted. We've got quite a bit, quite a few. So Lauren Riley asks for Larry, with your clientele in the higher risk demographic for COVID-19, is there a concern for a drop-off of interest to move into an urban environment?
It's an excellent question. We really believe that it will become more attractive. Lancaster City being viewed as a safer city than potentially some areas. Our experience in Lancaster City has been good. There's been excellent public health support from the mayor and others. And I think just the precautions that are provided by a group like Landis Communities, the supports that are provided, offering home and community-based services. If somebody's not able to go out and do shopping, we can do that for them. And also, we're hearing a lot of interest in outdoor space, safe outdoor space, being able to enjoy the rooftop, enjoy balconies, to be able to experience that. So we do believe that COVID will not last forever, but we work tirelessly to help keep residents, clients, and team members safe and healthy.
Excellent. So Lauren Riley asks for Ben, with the already high cost of new construction coupled with skyrocketing materials since COVID, Can you discuss briefly how you were able to make it feasible to provide tenants with high-end finishes and integrated technology, as well as expensive to build amenities like a rooftop space? Do you have to make any sacrifices elsewhere? And if you answered some of those, sorry, but I think that's a good one. Yeah, thanks, Lauren.
It's a lot in there, Lauren. But yeah, no. Yeah. So first of all, I'll just say I have a tremendous team. So RGS Associates, they did the sort of land planning and helped me with the approvals there. The architect is Doug Phillips, and the builder is Ned Pelger. And he's he's a great guy, and it's really a testament, I think, to him and his sort of construction team that we're able to do this. And so, yeah, I mean, in terms of sacrifices, it's hard to say for sure. I mean, it was, as we were going through the conceptual design and development process, you know, it was a question if the rooftop was going to stay or not, because that is a significant cost to do that. At the end of the day, we decided that we wanted to do that, and it still made financial sense for us. But there was a point where maybe that was going to have to go. I mean, like I said earlier, we haven't been too impacted with COVID in terms of increased construction or material pricing. Fortunately, we sort of got in just before that. Yeah, I forget if there was another question there, but hopefully that answered it.
I think that was pretty good. Feel free to submit more questions here. We have a little bit more time. I've got two more here. Stacy Reidenbaugh from 10,000 Friends of Pennsylvania has a question for Ken. She says, do you anticipate any delayed impact for maybe 12 to 18 months from now in the real estate market like we saw in 2009, especially in office space?
Yeah, I mean, that's the $10,000 question, right? None of us have a crystal ball. Who knows? It's not a good answer, but who knows? The real concern that we have about everything right now is what is going to be the length and the depth of the COVID crisis and the continued economic impact, right? So we think that the Lancaster County, the Pennsylvania, and the U.S. in general really has yet to feel the full impact of what's happening to the economy because of the measures the Fed has put in place with the stimulus, right? And that's keeping a lot of small businesses going, maybe not making money, but still around. And if Congress doesn't get its act together, or if those dollars dry up, excuse me, it could be bad. There'll be a lot of additional and significant impacts on small businesses, and that'll have a ripple effect across the board for everyone. So, you know, we are, as you said at the beginning, we're all optimists, and none of us wants to see that happen. So there's still a lot politically that has to play out, and none of us control that, unfortunately. I mean, you know, everyone should vote. Go vote if you can, but who knows? So yeah, we have those concerns. I think all of us share those concerns long term. But, you know, as a long-term investor and a long-term owner and holder of real estate, so we try to look past the next 12, 18, 24 months. And I think a lot of us in Lancaster County are able to do that and try to do that. So if you keep your long-term glasses on and you hope that this COVID impact is shorter and shallower than some are predicting, and you have the cash to weather it, then we'll come out on the other side. But that's the question that nobody really has an answer to right now, unfortunately.
Right. I have a comment, more of a comment, not as much of a question, from Randy Riggs. He says, I'm a new resident of Steeple View. I attest to the quality living that Larry has spoken of, and I would be happy to arrange a tour of my apartment, one person at a time, until we are out of COVID restrictions, of course. So thanks so much, Randy, for that comment. I'd like to offer a little something from my perspective. There's a article in Go Erie newspaper this past week about how the city of Erie is looking at this new potential way of doing work from home or remote working, where people are saying, hey, we don't really want to pay the costs to live in San Francisco or in Chicago or New York. And a city like Erie, they've already seen some folks move there for, you know, the high quality of living, fairly safe community, but cheap rents and cheap housing. And I really think Lancaster County and Lancaster City are well poised to capitalize on that. We're so close to, you can get to Philly by the train, you can get to Harrisburg real quick by the train, you can go to New York City if you need to DC. I think we're well positioned, and that gives me a lot of optimism to see those kind of ideas for the future for Lancaster. And kudos to you gentlemen for being able to provide some of that infrastructure to make this happen. It's really neat.
Yeah, Jonathan, I think that's a great point. No, I was just gonna say that's a great point, and I wanted to mention that too. And I'm sure everybody's sort of been reading the articles about people moving out of large cities like New York or San Francisco, but even Philly or DC. Even though Lancaster City, for people maybe in Lancaster County, is a city, I mean, for many other people, it's still a very suburban and rural area that I think has a lower cost of living that, yeah, might be exciting when you can essentially work from anywhere now. So
I moved to the Lancaster City from Pittsburgh, and one of the first meetings I went to here, someone complained about the traffic. And I thought, what are you talking about? This is great. This is great. Not that bad. So, sorry, Larry, you were going to say something?
Well, yeah, our experience at Steepleview Lofts, the 100 persons or so who've called it home, like I said earlier, about 25% have moved from elsewhere in the city, 30% from elsewhere in the county, another 10% from elsewhere in Pennsylvania, and the balance from around the United States, some moving internationally. So there's Lancaster City is well known, Lancaster County is well known, and we're grateful for that. An important part of that are the strong local partners, the construction companies, the businesses in our area, and with Landis Place on King, we value partners like RLPS Architects, RGS Associates, High Construction, High Foundation, Fulton Bank, many others. That you know, it takes those partnerships to create something that supports the community well.
Absolutely.
And Jonathan, I reread Stacy's question, and I don't think I touched on her question specific to office space in my answer.
Oh, sure, go for it.
And to what you were just talking about, the question really is also, what's the demand for office space going to be in the future, right? And I don't think, again, the answer is we don't know yet. I don't think anybody quite knows yet. I think this experiment of everybody working from home all the time is still in process and has yet to be really fully decided. And while we're under the kind of the COVID environment, I think there will still be businesses that want office space, but maybe it's 2 days a week or 3 days a week for part-time, not 5 days a week, 40 hours a week. And if they have people who have to come into an office environment, people are gonna need their own space, right? So a couple of years ago, it was all about shared working spaces and collaborative areas, and that was the trend, and that was great when COVID wasn't a factor. But as long as COVID is a factor, the office space is going to have to be thought about differently again. So there may be a reduction in the number of businesses that are looking for office space, but those companies and businesses that still want an office environment may need more space just for themselves. Who knows? At least while we're in COVID. Once there's a vaccine, is it going to go back to normal? Probably not. But you know, that's a prediction. Who knows? I think a lot of people are enjoying the work from home environment. But again, you know, it's been 6 months, not 18 or 24 months. Let's circle back on that in another year, year and a half, and see, you know, how many of us are still thinking the same way.
Right. Excellent. Well, I want to thank the three of you for taking time today to present and be with us for this conversation. It's been great to hear from you.
Happy to do so. Enjoy it.
Yep, glad to be a part of it.
Before we wrap up, this video will be made available on YouTube at some point next week, and feel free to share that within your networks and throughout your friend circles. We'd love to, this is some great stuff, and we'd love to share it out to as many folks as we can. Also, a community service announcement. We've got until September 30th to complete the census. So please do so if you have not done so already. If you know folks that need to still do it, give them a nudge. You can find out more information and complete the census at www.2020census.gov. So please go there. Also, from an Hourglass announcement on our YouTube page, which you can find through our website, or you can search us on YouTube, we have available a new series called Listening to Lancaster. We've had 6 episodes so far. The most recent one was on the census with the Census Count Committee in Lancaster County. So please check those videos out. You can also see a catalog of all of our videos on there. We really appreciate everyone taking time to be with us today. Our next First Friday Forum will be Optimism Part 2. So we're going to stick with the same theme, but with some different faces, and be able to talk about optimism in Lancaster County on October 2nd, Friday, October 2nd. So be on the lookout for more information about that. But thanks so much for taking time today, and we really appreciate it. Everybody have a nice weekend.
Thank you.